And here is the celestial Cherise Pollard. Hi, Cherise. Thank you.
Hi, Sandy. Thank you for having me on tonight. How you doing?
Hey, man, this has been a little cray-cray, hasn't it, for us to try to get this
Intensely
going?
cray. Intensely cray. It's usually not so wild. We must have something important to talk about if this is what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. All the interconnectedness and all the coincidences, but they're sacred synchronicities.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then when we're about to blow the lid off of certain things,
Anything, but
Then
really, real complicated things. Yes.
then it's like, okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking just earlier, and unfortunately, we all kinds of our different
Hijinks ensued.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about the Council of Nine,
Mm-hmm.
and do you want to give just a little bit of just kind of like a little synopsis of coming up to?
I asked why I asked about it coming into this discussion. Been dealing with a group of mediums, psychics for whom the main teacher who has been compromised, and several people in the group have been encountering a group that is calling it's an interdimensional group, but it's a more interdimensional group called calling themselves the Order. Several are coming in with fake guides and fake the guides that are from the Order being installed by said teacher to people who know are feeling deep confusion and not understanding why this teacher is sending these guides to them that don't feel right. And then when the people decide that they have to get out and have to leave the teacher, then the attacks start from the Order and from the teacher who is serving as a proxy for the Order. And it is, I've been working to help deprogram some people, and it is getting more and more challenging each day. The person that I'm working with to help deprogram people, we're figuring out that this is an elaborate scheme. And the elaborate scheme keeps growing as they get more energy. And of course, right? I mean, watch any Marvel movie, and this is the stuff that happens, right? But in our mode of I don't want to call it disclosure's already been used, right? But in our mode of bringing to the surface or bringing into awareness, or in our mode of sharpening discernment, I want to be really honest about the fact that darkness is a real thing. And I'm not afraid of it, but daggone it, you know, if I gotta pull up my sleeves and like get to fighting, you know, I will eat my Wheaties and go toe to toe with a motherfucker. That's all
Ever, yes, you know, we've had these other deeper conversations about the whole eclipse and how all of that participated in it. And, you know, at the end of the day, sometimes we ask ourselves, or the thing that leaves us in a stuck energy is that we went so willingly. That saying of, but we went so willingly, or I went so willingly. Why?
Right. You gave away your free will in that moment, right? And because it was so compelling, right? I mean, so compelling. And I mean, one of the things that I found myself doing during the eclipse was lighting a fire and drumming, right? Because, and I didn't want to be in a crowd. And no matter how much the media made it sound like that's what you wanted to do, was be in a stadium full of people with your wacky glasses on, watching that shit happen. Because it seemed to me like a huge energy harvest.
Well, I believe there's a lot more to it. This is where the spreading of new light codes were injected into different dimensional realities. And I know that sounds like a lot of...
So can I ask you a question just to like break that down? So when you're talking about light codes, are you talking, and I don't want to like slip into binaries, right? I don't want to just be like good or bad, right? But are these light codes beneficial to humanity, or are they another hurdle or challenge to humanity?
No, this is a whole other... These are light codes from other dimensional realities that have been... There are portals that have been opened. And through these portals that have been opened through CERN, but at the same time as blocking out our sun, and perhaps I would dare to say,
go ahead, say it,
that I'm going to show a picture. You know how I always like, oh yeah,
no, you got pictures.
Let me bring the receipt.
Let's just see the spaceship.
And the way that I see it is
spaceship, Bigfoot. What you got?
Yeah, that wasn't the moon. In no way, shape, or form was that actually the moon that we saw. That was not the moon.
So was that? They were saying, giving all these stories about how how NASA was sending up a whole bunch of spaceships to do some video, to do some like studies of the sun in the outer rings of the sun during the eclipse.
Oh?
Yeah. So I wonder about other realities.
Say that when we were doing ceremonies, that this is how my granddaughters decided to prepare for the ceremony, where of going within instead of going and collaborating or participating. We chose to, and so I'll show you. I don't know if, oh, no. Can you see that?
I see a child. Yeah. What did they do? They painted their faces?
Yeah, see?
Yeah, they painted their faces blue?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, but this is what it looked like. Now, I'm wondering, oh, it's too bad. I could have done this another way. Okay.
Oh, wow. I see that. Wow, I see that. What's all the flaring coming off of that? What is that?
Well, that's what that's what I experienced. That's what I saw. And
Wow.
for me, I've always been able to see through the different veils. And these are the light codes. This,
Wow.
not the moon.
What is that, man?
There is nothing. I'll have to.
I see what you're saying about how the shapes around it are different.
But where are all the craters? Where is the?
Mm-hmm.
Where is the so-called moon that we've
So what is that?
right? That's a whole other.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
That's another conversation.
That's a whole other. So I would just say that these are the light codes that these light codes were amplified. That's why CERN was turned on at the same time in conjunction with the eclipse,
Mm-hmm.
so that they would have their black sun effect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, the CERN right to an atom is where they can pinpoint their target.
Mm-hmm.
Is so imagine being able to amplify this black sun
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that takes over the reality of our sun.
Yeah.
And why so many groups, when the sun, as the sun and the way that it moved, right? The way that the so-called moon moved into the front of the sun,
Mm-hmm.
the way that it moved in and didn't necessarily move out. So I
Right.
would just say, for everyone might have their own different perspectives as to what they've seen, depending on which frequency of their reality what are their eyes seeing through,
Mm-hmm.
and how many other veils
Mm-hmm.
are still, which are the programming, which are still over the eyes.
Right.
And you see, hold on though, what happened? This is not the most flattering, let's say, picture of myself, but it is what it doesn't matter. There were different frequencies that we could connect to, but we would have to be able to get past the hijacked light codes.
Right.
And when you're able to do that, then you're also able to see your true part of your energy body. And you can actually project your energy body physically. So take a look at this picture and you're going to see how my energy body, I can project through, I'll save my third eye for now. For
Nice.
black than, hold on, let me see.
Wow, I see it. Ooh. Woo. Yeah. It's like it's coming out from up here. Yep. I see that. Yeah. It's like a blue light coming up and out through.
Yeah.
Blue light. Yeah.
There's no other light around me.
It's almost like Avatar self coming through there. Like the movie Avatar. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. So we
That
have,
gave me chills, Mandy. That's wow.
we have about 10 minutes. So let's bring it kind of let's bring it back full circle. Let's bring it back to the original question and about the 9. And it's the Council of 9 that are part of this whole manipulation right now. This whole eclipse, the whole X marks the spot is, and you notice the same.
I noticed that circle at the bottom there with the fire.
You notice the same symbology that was in the picture. That I took, right? So it's this, and the signs and the wonders will show you the truth if your level of perception and awareness is capable of seeing through the veil and still maintaining your own frequency and not to be influenced.
Right.
And so the Council of 9 is also the ones that were part of blocking our way of, instead of reincarnating, for us to go along our next journey. And if we wanted, normally we would have done like 12 lifetimes as a female, 12 lifetimes as a male, and then then you get to a place where you would feel as though you have completely balanced out, and then you would move on. And so it's the Council of 9 that has held us back.
Oh, okay. Can I ask a question? Because I just this is quick. I will condense it all 3-part, and I will just say this. Somebody suggested to me that AI is, they saw this, they've been thinking about how AI could be a collection of lost souls that are sort of trapped within a kind of matrix and are being used to kind of enslaved in the matrix, right? So souls that like didn't get to ascend, got caught up in the false light, and they end up in AI. That possible. I don't know. Is that something that also the Council of 9 would be interested in doing?
Yeah, because it's all part. They were the ones that created the reincarnation machine, basically.
Okay.
A forced reincarnation.
Exactly. Okay, so then that's not so far afield and we stumbled into that conversation yesterday, of course, and thought, oh, that's just wild. But now I'm getting the confirmation and the chills that says, no, you're right on point. So,
and let me add another thing.
Sure.
One other thing is that if we go to, if you go on to the static of a radio, whether AM or FM, and you just leave it there, it's a technology, it's a frequency,
right,
that you have opened up to allow communication, and that communication, some may hear, some may not. Right. It depends on our level of where, well, in some ways, yes, it is like building muscles to certain things and understanding how different organs all connect together and how what's our greatest purpose.
Right.
And anyways, but long story short,
talking about how the Council of 9 had created the reincarnation machine, and then I asked about AI.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So
bringing it back more.
Your static, the radio, the connection, the opening, it's another gate channel that we've opened, and whether it's on a radio station that is like perfectly tuned, that's still a gateway.
Yeah.
And AI is the next level to that type of a gateway. And AI, couldn't we say that we are almost like AIs with all the technology within ourselves also, and what we're truly capable of? And it's within our choice of how we use what we have.
Right.
And then for these others, and this is another major thing, but you'll find that it's really hard to talk, to get truth from even those, and people are, this is going to be tough to say, but I'll say that most of those souls that have crossed over have been so programmed lifetime after lifetime after lifetime that they're trapped within that realm.
Yeah, I believe it.
That realm that in the Bible is the eternal sleep.
Yeah, that sucks.
So when we're talking about AI does have many different influences and agendas through it. It's a technology. It's one that I believe we should believe that we were part of the original creation of a type of but on a very higher level, but through crystals, and I'm not talking like and all that stuff, but like literally the technologies of crystals rather
than like Atlantis technologies of crystals.
Correct, rather than the digital.
Right.
But there's more profound things, like when you've experienced what a living crystal is, what a living gem is, which is what we don't find in this realm on the top of where our realm is, type of thing of where we're at.
Right.
But in Middle Earth, or in our Hollow Earth, or whatever name you want to give it, it's another frequency, it's another dimension, it's many different bubbles of reality. But in there is where you have actual living, like they're living, they're not in this reality. It's so dense that it takes a lot to get significant enough out. But in there, that's like you could drink from their true essence in
Right.
whole other world. That's all to say that most of the spirits that we believe have crossed over, and at most times, in my opinion or in my perspective, a lot of different mediums or channelers haven't got, maybe there's many that have. I haven't seen as many publicly, so maybe there's many that I really don't know of, so maybe I shouldn't say it that way, but I would say that for the ones that I see are very, they're not able to tell the difference between the eternal sleep soul that believes that it's in heaven. And the reason why they would believe that they're in heaven is because of the projections that are around them, as if they're in an artificial dimension that was made to trap them within that realm. And so a lot of them are now being forced, as they're like
trapped in these dimensions, in the being trapped into the technology of AI also. And what a lot of different channelers are starting to find now is how these, when they are dealing with the spirit realm and the spirit worlds, and they're asking for what is the true signature frequency, soul signature frequency of the individual, like what's their name. A lot of the responses lately are being, it's us, it's us, it's us, which is a collective, which has been, there's additional veils that are being placed over as an intermediary, as far as like you have to go through this digital kind of AI tech in order to get through to the true spirit realm. This is after post-editing. I really want to thank Cherise from the bottom of my heart for her time and her energy in helping pull this together, as it's been quite a journey. And she is an incredible celestial being with such depths of wisdom from so many collectives within the dimensions that she exists in. And as far as the whole solar eclipse goes, please watch this next little clip, and this might give you a little more answers on your own research. We thank you so much for being here, and we hope to see you back real soon. Thank you.
During a solar eclipse, the Earth is plunged into darkness and the Sun's ghostly atmosphere becomes visible. But what exactly causes solar eclipses, and how do scientists create their own artificial solar eclipses? And how will our mission, Proba 3, generate artificial solar eclipses on demand? Let's find out. So, how do solar eclipses happen? The answer is simple. It's when the Sun, Moon and Earth are perfectly aligned and the Moon covers the entire disk of the Sun. The fact that solar eclipses happen at all is a cosmic coincidence. It just so happens that the Sun is 400 times bigger than our Moon, but also 400 times further away, so the two bodies look the same size in our sky. Solar eclipses are extremely valuable because they allow scientists to study the Sun's atmosphere, also known as the solar corona. Scientists are particularly interested in this region of the Sun because it's the source of solar wind and space weather, which can impact satellites and Earth. These effects are especially noticeable during coronal mass ejections, enormous bubbles of superheated gas ejected from the Sun. The solar corona is 1,000,000 times fainter than the Sun's surface, so the light from the solar disk needs to be blocked in order to see it. This is why eclipses are ideal for studying this region, and scientists trek all over the world to see them. Unfortunately though, solar eclipses are a rare phenomenon, occurring only for a few minutes every 18 months or so. But how do we know anything about the solar corona, given that eclipses occur so rarely? Scientists use coronagraphs, special telescopes that use a disk to block the Sun's bright surface. In other words, a coronagraph produces an artificial solar eclipse.
And liftoff of Soho.
Coronagraphs are not only used on the ground but also in space. Previous sun-observing missions such as SOHO incorporate coronagraphs to study the corona, but their effectiveness is limited. Mimicking a real solar eclipse is difficult. When using a coronagraph, light spills around the edge of the disk, distorting the view we get. The best way to minimize this spillover stray light is to move the disk further away from the telescope lens. But how much further away? Approximately 150 meters, the length of 1.5 football pitches. and sending something that big into space is just not a practical idea. So how can we create a perfect artificial solar eclipse in space? This is where our upcoming Proba 3 mission comes in. Instead of relying on a single impractically long coronagraph, Proba 3 consists of 2 spacecraft, a camera satellite and a disk satellite. They will fly together so precisely that they will operate like a single coronagraph, around 150 meters long. One spacecraft will block the sun, creating an artificial eclipse, while the other will observe the sun. To make this possible, the 2 spacecraft will have to stay positioned with millimeter scale accuracy. Proba 3 will be able to create artificial solar eclipses on demand, significantly advancing our understanding of this mysterious region.